Monday nights. So, hello guys. Hello. Anybody there? There's a bunch of people here. How you doing? Can you hear us? Rebecca, speak. See if they could hear you.
Can everybody hear me?
Can you hear me and Rebecca?
Hello.
Hello. Hi, all beautiful ones, keepers, Toddie and Rebecca. Toddie, so you could hear us, yes? I reckon.
Yep, I
Yes,
guess they
I
can
hear.
hear us.
I see a yes. I see a yes. I see it. Thank you for the two members. Member for 2 months. Congratulations. Thank you. It's Cinco de Mayo, I heard today. Did you know that?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
I didn't know that. I did
Mm-hmm.
not know that. So I think people party on Cinco de Mayo, right? So it probably was a party weekend, I would
I
think.
believe, yeah, I think that's what it's all about.
So anybody got anything that they want to say about that? Is everybody good from the weekend? Everybody have a good weekend? Everybody survived the weekend? Hello. Good to see you, Pink 87. It's my 18th wedding anniversary today on Cinco de Mayo. Congratulations, Candy. Hi, Tricky Vicky. Happy birthday, Amy.
Wow, a lot going on.
Absolutely. Renelle Smith, how you doing, Renelle? Much love, Renelle. Renelle's the woman that gave you your little setup.
Yes, thank you, Renelle. I cannot wait to set up and start using it, and I'll probably be bothering you with a million questions.
Rebelle's got the patience of a saint, I think, but I could help too if I can. I'm so glad that you got a mug, man. I'm so glad that you got a mugger. A t-shirt and the sticker. Oh my goodness. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm jealous now.
I'm glad. I got stuff in the merch, man, but I'm giving away on my birthday. I'm going to give away some stuff on my birthday. May 24th is my birthday. It wasn't yesterday. It wasn't the day before. It wasn't it's yesterday. It's the 24th. The May 24th is my birthday. Same day as it was last year. So I know that by accident Cherokee girl made a mistake and then I made a mistake on the video that I did. I was saying that I wanted to get like 20,000 people on my birthday and I gave the impression it was my birthday. And
Oh,
I didn't mean to do that. I kept saying May 24th, but not on that video. So I always assume that. So I'm glad that you're sipping from your new mugger. That's great. I love that. It's not my birthday. Yeah, it's my birthday month, May 24th. I'm a Gemini. Gemini. Yeah, I'm watching from Wales in the UK.
nice.
So very good. It's very, very good. Does anybody got any kind of struggle? Anybody got anything they want to share? Anybody want to jump in the chat? Was there anybody I should have sent the link to?
My friend from last week, I reached out to her, but I didn't get a response. I don't know if you remember who that was. It was Francie.
Oh yeah, and she was gonna come on. She was gonna come on, right?
Yeah, but I didn't get an answer back from her, so I don't know what that means. Maybe she got tied up, doing something else.
Okay. Well, I mean, if she wants, she can, shout out and we could go ahead.
Yeah, if she happens to jump in, at any time, maybe you can get her on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that wants to share, people are from Atlanta.
Toddie,
Carissa, how
there
you
was
doing?
something I wanted to ask you and the viewers. It was brought to my attention, and I don't want this to turn political because that's not me. I don't do politics really.
Good. We don't do it on the channel either.
Right. Somebody said something that Narcan was no longer going to be available for, you might have touched on this last week. I don't recall, but you know how now it's free to people, or it was, and it's no longer going to be. Someone's trying to do away with that. Did you hear anything about that, or did anybody hear anything about that?
You're better off asking the chat. I haven't watched the news.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that's a little concerning to me.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. Did you happen to Did you happen to see what our friend Gypsy did?
I didn't get to keep up with her this weekend because I was busy. I had Bree and the baby over, but I know that her and what's his name, Ken,
Ryan? Okay, Ken.
they were at a some kind of
Ja-
festival together
Jazz
or
Fest.
something. You know what's really funny about her? Her body changes depending on where she is. Did you ever notice that? Like at this festival, she looked fit and thin. Some of her own videos, her arms, nothing matches. Like, what is she doing?
Yeah, so I think she's using filters,
Yeah.
and that's what I think is going on there. The reason why I wanted to ask you about Gypsy was because, believe it or not, she's a shapeshifter, says Renelle. Love you. I love you, Renelle. So apparently, okay, so she asked Ryan, she's made it she's made us believe that Ryan has been like hanging on to her for no good reason.
Right.
And Ryan finally released one message, and it was a text message, and it was Gypsy reaching out to him at 2 o'clock in the morning, asking him if he was with Amber J, who is somebody on TikTok that they're friendly. They're friendly. They're just friends. I don't think they've ever met face to face.
Right.
But she's a fan of his, and they're playing around. But Gypsy texted him, and then after that he didn't respond back, it seemed. And after that, at 9 o'clock in the morning, she wrote back and said, I don't know what's real or fake, I'm so lost. So she was giving him hope,
Right.
totally giving him hope. So he just showed that. So we see the manipulation right then and there. Yes. So because he showed that, to show that it's not all him, he showed just that, right?
Right.
She, he always has like a sweat rag. He's always wiping he's a heavy guy. He's always wiping.
Right.
And so she puts out on TikTok a screenshot of a bunch of towels. And she writes something like the saga of the sweat rag. And then next to it, she puts that methadone makes you sweat. She outed him as being on methadone.
Does anybody know that to be true? I mean,
So he wrote back. So he texted. Yeah, well, it's true because he said that she violated HIPAA. And he reached out to Gypsy's dad and texted the dad, supposedly, because we saw screenshots that said, tell her to take that off. She's violated HIPAA, and it's also defamatory. Now, some people are saying maybe he was prescribed that for pain. Remember, we had talked about that just the week before, and I was surprised that they would prescribe such a thing for pain. But then something else came out that said that he's been on it for about 10 years for opioid addiction. So I don't know. But I'm bringing it up because I know that you're a huge Gypsy Rose fan, but you seem to love your phone a lot better today.
no, because I'm trying to.
I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you.
What happens if,
with you,
if
man.
somebody calls me, it knocks me off. So I'm trying to be able to hit the button if it
You
rings.
don't have to worry about nothing. I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. Anyway, I figured that you were looking for your friend to join. I knew it had something to do with something important.
But so 2 o'clock in the morning tells me Ken's sleeping, and she's reaching, or
he's not there. Or Ken's not there.
Right. And he's not going to take her text or calls at 2 a.m. probably. He's probably tired of her, I'm assuming. So she's reaching out to him, and then, but I guess if he doesn't give her what she wants to hear, then she decided to out him. And what is her deal? That's kind of.
So let's talk about that, because listen, guys, this is about recovery and it is about sobriety, but it's also about getting through things. So this is a good segue to people that are finding it very difficult to move forward after relationships end, maybe relationships that we didn't want to end. And that can often lead to relapse if there is somebody struggling. So it's important to understand, because I think the thing is, if we understand that's half the battle, then we could find ways to get through something. You know, does that make any sense? And so here's a man who gave his heart. I'll tell you what, and this is not, you know, a shade at Nick. This is because Nick didn't have the time that, you know, and Gypsy was so effed up, you know, and what she did to Nick. But I don't think anybody's going to love Gypsy the way Ryan loved Gypsy, because he loved her. He loved her exactly the way she is. I don't think it would have, I think he would have continued loving her if he knew that she unalived her mother. I really do. So I don't think that she did that because she's jealous at all. I think she did that because she likes to control the situation. She likes to be important. And she doesn't want anybody to be happier than her. Now, I have people like that in my life that I don't even talk to. They're family members. I don't want to get into it. But
Right.
there is toxic, and then there is beyond toxic. You know, and maybe toxic you can deal with once a week, maybe once a month. Maybe you can even deal with a coworker who's toxic if there's like a half-hour period between you coming on work and them getting off work, whatever. But to deal with toxicity constantly, you know, you can't always be on guard. And she isn't somebody that wants to see him happy. And if she wants to see him happy, it's only so much happy. Never more happy than her.
Right.
If she's miserable, she wants to make him miserable.
Right.
And the manipulation of that one little email, that one little message about I don't know what's real and I don't know what's fake, shows you such a manipulation by her, that you watch the use and abuse that she did to Ryan, and you could clearly see what's going on. I'm sorry, I thought that was something else. And you could clearly see that what she probably did with her mom in that house. And what came out was that that Dee Dee needed a wheelchair as well, just so you know. So I mean, that should tell you that she wasn't chasing her kid. If she
Right.
wanted to leave, you know, she wasn't chasing her kid. So
She had time to entertain her toothbrush and stuff in private. She had time to get out the door and get away from her mother.
absolutely. But here's the thing, she didn't want to do that. I honestly think that she needed that home. You know how I kept saying, why so brutal? Why so brutal? Why so? So the other day I was talking to millennial, 1980 millennial, and I'm saying, why so brutal? And it dawned on me, and it was right in front of my nose. It was so brutal because of everything that I had already said, and the fact that I believe that it was set up to be a home invasion and a botched home invasion. So it had to be brutal, because if Gypsy would have taken out her mom in a more humane way by putting the extra
She
insulin
could
or
have
air,
overdosed her on something.
okay, then Gypsy still would have had to have maintained she still would have had to have maintained her life in a wheelchair. Nothing for her would have changed. She
Right.
wanted, I believe, out of the wheelchair, but I do believe she wanted to end up I do believe that she wanted to end up, you know, more or less they wouldn't have looked for her. You know what I mean? Because they thought she was dying. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they would have assumed if they'd taken her out of the house and she was just taken by somebody, and they wouldn't have found it. First of all, they wouldn't have looked for somebody walking, right? They wouldn't have looked for somebody with hair. So not wigs, not and walking. And um and in a couple months or so, they would have assumed she died because she needed medication that she no longer was able to get. So they
Right.
would have stopped looking for her. She would have been able to start anew somewhere. And that's what I think. But then when Dan decided, in my opinion, Dan said, yeah, I'm not doing this. I don't want to be with you. I think either which way Gypsy wanted out of this, but I also think that she was part of the grift. And I think Dee Dee might have said, listen, I don't know how much more we could get because I can no longer keep calling you a child. Like we can't change the birth date anymore. So, that really doesn't have a lot to do with what we talk about on Monday. So pardon me, guys, for getting away, but it's still relationships, and relationships are tough. Relationships are, what when somebody no, I don't believe anybody can make us feel a certain way, but when we feel weak, it's very easy to be manipulated. And on a day that we might be having a rough day, it's much easier to be manipulated and our feelings hurt.
Right.
And I think half the time people walk around this world like a bull in a china shop. And they don't realize that one little thing that maybe they did could cause somebody to, like, exactly like you said with the McDonald's order about Gino, all it would take. So maybe all it would take is for somebody to maybe honk at Gino, who didn't move fast enough when the light turned green. And then Gino turns around because he's pissed off and gives somebody the finger. And then it escalates into, and it's as easy as that. People are getting shot over stupid shit as that.
I know. It's crazy.
You know?
Scary. But I'm glad you told me about what was going on. I'll have to look it up later today now and check it out. Cause like I said, weekends, I'm so busy with Bree and the baby over, we do our thing on the weekend cause she works all week. So I don't get a lot of time to, look up Gypsy. I wish Gypsy would get to know me and reach out to me. I'd love to talk to her.
Really?
Yeah. How do I do it? How do I get her to know who I am? Do I have to?
Well, she knows who I am.
I know.
She's been in my comments apparently.
Well,
Gypsy whore. If you want, that's what I call her now.
Gypsy,
So,
if you're here, reach out.
I don't know that she's in this because this wasn't really about her per se.
Well, we got to try to make it about her. I need her to reach out to me. I want to tell her how I feel.
I don't think she cares, but it might be interesting.
I'd love for her to attack me and verbally assault me. I would welcome it. But anyway, so I don't know if anybody listened or heard me say about the Narcan, if anybody's heard anything about that. And also, for some reason, I feel like, Toddie, you might have spoken about this or somebody on one of the shows, but is anyone familiar with fentanyl kits? Excuse me. It's a kit that people can get to check their drugs before they use them to make
did hear about them. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I've not seen them. I don't know where they're available. But I just, like I said, I just don't have any information on that. If anybody does, let me know what you know.
Okay. So I want to read this to you because you're asking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and guys, I don't even want to hear the president's name. I'm reading his name because it's in here. This is not political. I never want this channel to be that way. I'm answering a question. Trump officials mull funding cuts for overdose antidote naloxone, Narcan. Public health experts are worried by the proposed cuts to Narcan programs, one called the antidote, a silver bullet against the opioid epidemic. So, sorry, because now they want me to buy the magazine. Don't you hate when that happens? So hang on, let me do this. Hang on. Is Narcan still available for free? Free Narcan kits may be available from your state or local health department, community syringe exchange for 0 copays. Narcan is available over the counter. This means anyone can get it without a prescription at any location. It doesn't say right now. It looks like what I was reading to you was something that they want to stop, that they want to stop the funding for.
Right.
So, but I have heard of those kits that test your drugs beforehand, and of course, that's excellent. You know, I just saw a really bad SNL skit in my mind with somebody going and buying. Wait a minute, let me check it first. But you know, that's what needs to be done before people take it. You know, before people take, that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, they're going to take their drugs. So why not
absolutely
make it available to them so they're not
absolutely better to do it before than after.
Right. You know, someone who is about to
lives, of course.
Right. You know, someone who is about to use drugs, they're not saying I want to kill myself. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they have to do that drug. They have a dependency on it. So why not let them check it and make sure they're not going to do any more harm to themselves? I'm all for it. I'd like to think that if these kits were available, maybe Gino would have used one and he'd still be here today. I mean, you know, who knows? But
there's a note for you in the chat that's pinned. I don't know if you could see it or you need me to read it to you.
Oh, I see it here. Yeah. For Narcan. So it will be free in all 50 states? Or am I not understand? It's going to be, or it will no longer be free. Is that what she's saying?
I don't know. Can you clarify, Jeanette, please? It looks like she's saying, I did see a speech 5 days ago of removing federal funding for Narcan costs, so it will not be free. I understand, but I think Rebecca GoodRx is still doing something to provide free Narcan. But what you're saying is, Trump is saying that he's cutting the funding and it's not going to be free for the 50 states. Should a not have been in that comment? That's the question. Because it kind of goes hand in hand with the first part of the sentence. It contradicts the first part of the sentence, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah. So that's
it could
what
be
we're
me
asking.
too. You know, I'm
No. It kind of contradicted it. So it won't be free. She meant to put the won't. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
It won't be
That's
free.
horrible.
That's not. I'm not okay with that. But I'm not okay with a lot of things in this world. You know, a lot of people used to say, well, they're giving Narcan out to drug addicts who choose to be that way, but diabetics, need their insulin. And I said, well,
listen, I think both. Why does it have to be one or the other?
Yeah, let's make it all affordable to everybody.
There are countries that do have universal free medicine that we claim to be smarter and stronger than. So why can't we? If we're smarter and stronger, then why is our healthcare system declining when we're paying a premium? Why are people waiting 2 weeks to go to the doctors when they have fucking insurance? And it never used to be that way. And why are good doctors getting out of the business? And that's the truth.
Yeah.
So why is it declining in our country? And I'm not talking about Trump. I'm asking a question. It's been declining in this country.
Yeah.
Why? The whole humanity and care for humanity has been declining in this country. As I say, we work and pay a premium to live in a self-serve country. It's absolutely horrible. Right. And by the way, Renelle, I don't think that Renelle realized that you lost Gino. So she had said that she was sorry about your loss. Now,
thank you, Renelle.
She's saying she's sorry about somebody else's loss as well. So is there anybody that has a story to tell? Oh, really? It takes that. Do you see that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. From my experience, it seems that law enforcement will, if they're first on scene for an overdose, or the paramedics or whatever, they'll do 2 or 3 and they stop there. I don't think they continue on. I mean, with Gino, I think they did 3. And because it was fentanyl, I guess that wasn't going to reverse that anyway. So then he was pronounced after 3 doses of Narcan. I didn't know they would do up to 10.
I didn't know that either. So this is most people don't choose to be addicted. I've yet to meet one. I've yet to meet one. So you've got grace there.
I agree with that. Nobody sets out to say, you know what, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to get hooked on it and ruin my life. I know people don't choose that.
Right.
I get it.
Right. Guys, I don't know what to do about the broken system. It breaks my heart to
It's healthcare like
it's
not
horrible.
just these drugs, it's every drug. I mean, people have a hard time getting. I can remember my mom and dad, when they were older, of course, and
I don't know that this is true, Jeanette. Where did you hear this? I'm sorry.
Prior authorization?
Yeah, I didn't hear that. Where'd you hear that? I didn't see that. I'm sorry. So go ahead. I just felt like that's
No, I was
important
just
if it's
saying,
true.
prescription medications in general, my parents struggled, when they were on Medicare, they still had to pay for certain things and they couldn't afford certain medicines. So, with blood pressure medicine, well, I won't take it every day. I'll take it every other day.
That's right. That's right. And I'm sorry. Yeah, and there's that donut hole that I've heard about. Like, I'm unfamiliar, but my friend Sylvia, who passed away, I remember, like, there was a donut hole because, like, I was taking care of her money for her, paying her bills, and I couldn't understand why she had this astronaut and the donut hole, and I was like, wow. In the meantime, her husband fought in our military. Here's a woman that started working at a very young age. And I mean, when I say she paid taxes, she did it by the T. She did everything. And
Right.
still, and she didn't have the best place that she, died in. It doesn't, to be honest, it wouldn't have mattered because she had dementia. So her prison was in her head. You could have put her
Right.
in Disney World. In her head, she wasn't there. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. But the healthcare system, people are dying without dignity,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely atrocious. It again, we've talked a little bit off topic here, but it's hard in this world to just survive.
It is.
And if these meetings help people get through another week just to survive, then we're okay too. Then we're doing the right thing as well.
Is it Canada that has, I might say this wrong, so nobody attack, but don't they have free healthcare? I mean, I don't know what that
Oh
entails.
yeah, there's people mentioning it in here.
Oh,
I
okay.
put up a thing about it. Who was it? Is it you, Patchouli Julie? That's in the somebody's in Canada putting that up, and also they have it. Yeah, Canada's still here. We go, Tammy G. So Canada does offer free healthcare, universal healthcare is what it's called. And they have it in so many other countries. Are you kidding me?
So anybody in Canada, what is that like? Is it horrible or is it pretty easy going to have that? Is it tough to get medications in Canada, or do they just, if your doctor prescribes that you can get it, are there a lot of, hoops to jump through in Canada, or is it pretty easy? I'm just wondering.
I'm reading. I'm trying to see if we can get an answer.
Yeah, I'd love to know that. You were saying it's just tough to survive in the world today. It's like some people are choosing between, do I buy food or my medicine, and I can remember my parents, like I said, well, I can't take this pill every day because I won't have enough to get me through until I can get it again. Or there were some medications. My dad had several strokes and stuff, and if I'm remembering correctly, he would get prescribed something and they just couldn't afford it, so he just didn't take it. It was, they had to eat or pay the bills, so that's what they chose to do.
And we shouldn't be living like that.
No.
We spew that we're the greatest country on earth, and we can't figure that shit out.
I know.
Figure that shit out, huh?
I know. It's awful. And I know we're going a little off topic, but these are things that everybody is dealing with. So,
And this is, if everybody felt great in life, nobody would need to self-medicate. So these are some of the triggers in that,
right.
that I think it's totally legitimate to speak on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think we're doing good. I think this is a good topic, and it's,
So, yeah. So we're kind of waiting to hear about Canada healthcare. Anybody that wants to tell us a little bit. Can you put an asterisk, by it and tell us if you're willing to have a conversation with us about the healthcare in Canada, please. So that, because I would like to know as well.
I'm very curious.
Pretty close for me to get to Canada with my brand new trailer.
Yeah, there you go. You might cross over that line, and there you go.
If I was going to go, man, I would have to go to the west side, because I think it's warmer there. Over on the east side here, which I think is much more beautiful. I don't know, but I love the coast and Newfoundland and all that. Newfoundland is over there, but it's always so windy. I just couldn't imagine. It's just too cold. I couldn't imagine being there. But I could see me on the west part of Canada.
Yeah. I thought about moving out of New Jersey recently. I think I told you I bought a house, and
a little farmhouse.
Yeah, we didn't move in yet, but I considered leaving New Jersey, but Corey's here, and I know that sounds silly. He's in the cemetery, and that's not where he is, but that's where we go. And sorry.
You're good.
But anyway, I couldn't leave New Jersey because then I couldn't be with Corey. So I'm stuck here kind of, and I said, well, maybe we can move him. I know it sounds crazy, right? But so anyway, I stayed in New Jersey, very close to where Corey is, 5 minutes away, for a reason, because I wanted to be able to go there. But I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, am I going to be able to do it all? A house, taxes, everything. Rent is expensive here. So I thought, well, I'll move into this house. At least it'll be mine. But I'm so nervous about it, with everything.
What are you nervous about? Paying your bills each month, even though you pay your rent each month?
Yeah, I'm thinking, what if something happens? What if I need
cheaper? I bet you your mortgage is cheaper than your rent.
I think it's going to be maybe about the same because of the taxes. And, we have to pay for garbage pickup, because that's not included in your taxes where we're moving to. And, and I always worry, what if something happens to the house and I don't have the money to fix it, but it's something I wanted to do and I had to do. But I did think about leaving New Jersey because it's a little less expensive in other places, but then I had a reason to stay. It's hard to just get up and go when I won't be able to go sit with Corey or, Bree's here with the baby. And
right.
There's a lot of reasons why I stayed, but it makes me so nervous, to just have all this going on. And, I have medications that I take monthly that I have to pay, a copay for a lot of them. And, I think, gosh, if I went somewhere else, it would be so much easier,
I don't know that it's absolutely easier to start to go to a different state and start to, if you've got a good doctor, I think that, now seriously anymore, like, you don't want to be changing up doctors, especially if your doctor's treating you good. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you don't want to build up that rapport again and have to wait for, I think that's kind of that's a difficult. I don't know. I just feel like this country in general, but I know that there are states that cost more than other states because I live in a very expensive state, and if all I did was YouTube, a third of it would go to, and a third of it does go to taxes here in New York because it's
Yeah.
deemed as a private business.
Wow.
But the thing is, where I work, because they take so much in taxes, I'm not like I'm getting less back in taxes,
Right.
but I'm not paying out in taxes. Now, maybe that'll change at some point. I don't know. I just know that in 3 years, I'm going to be retiring from my job, which is the only reason why I'm actually staying in New York State right now. Otherwise, I'd be visiting and living with my friends in Georgia. My life would be easier and I think it would be less expensive. But, I have benefits and, I'll retire from the company in 10 years when I'm 65. So there's, and I love New York. New York's, I think, one of the most beautiful states in the country, especially obviously the upper part of New York where the mountains are, and
Mhm.
you know, so I don't. To me, I'm grateful. That's the problem is these taxes aren't going anywhere. Their taxes are getting higher, and we're getting less for them,
Right.
and that's the problem
Yeah.
that's going on here. But I'm scared with that little camper that we got to fit our lives in there, and I'm praying Danny will like it better than what's going on over her head here with the shit.
Hmm.
And, if something goes wrong, I got to deal with that too. I can't call maintenance
Right. You call your
and,
landlord or whatever.
and everything I get is going to be more at a premium because I'm getting it for a smaller thing.
Yeah.
The thing that I feel relieved about is that this is a nice message from Renell. The thing that I feel relieved about is that I'm able to save up money each month by paying less, significantly less in rent. And so I'll be able to save money. And also, I'm very thankful that I have friends that are plumbers and electricians,
That's
and
helpful.
I'm so more than helpful. It's more than helpful because like if there was an issue, nobody would let me go without anything for more than a certain amount of time. At least I can
That's
get us
good.
to a hotel room. So otherwise, I don't know that I would have done it. I honestly don't know that if without that support group that I would have done it. But you have people in your life that can help you if something goes wrong, at
Yeah.
least to look
Yeah.
it up and tell you the directions and
Right.
tell you what to do, right? I mean,
Right.
half of everything we do now is on YouTube. I was learning how to skirt the thing on YouTube, and I reached out to somebody. I'm like, if I do both, will I have to put a heater under? Because I don't want to put the heater underneath the camper in the skirting because I keep my dogs there. I'm not doing that. I don't want to keep a
Right.
heater on. I'm not doing that, So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, we got off the topic. I am so
I
sorry,
know,
man.
but you know what? I just love talking to you, so I'd sit and talk about anything with you. And I think
Well,
people are enjoying it. So we're keeping people company. That's what we're here for.
and also these are challenges that I think people go through, what I'm saying? Challenges that are difficult. I think people, I guarantee there's people in the comments that are struggling to make their bills,
I'm
and they
sure.
might be afraid to get a camper and put it on somebody's property and try to live that life. There's things that I have that I don't know that are gonna fit in that camper, so I'm going through that shit too. Because like that furniture is mine and Jen's. Jen and I did the furniture together, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's
I'll
total.
live without the furniture. I will live without the furniture, and I mean I have still knickknacks and stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't want the camper to just look like a hotel room. each. I don't want it to look like a hotel room.
No, you want it to be your
Somebody's
home.
knocking on my door. Somebody's knocking
Okay.
on my door. I don't know
All
who it
right.
is. Hang on 1 second. I'm on a live stream. Okay, so guys, it's Dennis. Let him in.
So Monday Morning Monster, you live here? Is this where you live?
So yeah, just watch that. Don't let him get that in his face. So I gotta continue because I'm live here. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay, cool beans, cool beans. My rain boots. He said, "Nice boots." It's my friend Dennis, who's a maintenance man here.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah, because we were just talking about that. So I'll tell you that, one night I was going fucking mad with these people. And finally I took something and I threw it up at the ceiling to make a sound, and it came down and it hit the shower curtain. I mean, not the shower curtain, the towel rack.
Uh-huh.
And it knocked it. So I've been without the towel rack, and I showed him. I was like, I did this. And it was like, oh, it's all right. I got it. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's not nice that you had to do that. I have upstairs neighbors where I am right now currently, and I've had to remove all my pictures off of one wall because when they walk up and down the stairs, my pictures get knocked off the wall. So I just took them down. I said, I'm moving anyway. So they're just sitting on the floor. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight with neighbors. So I'm like, whatever.
I don't want to fight with them either. And I think for the most part, they're nice people, but so they're Muslim. I have no problem with that. But because they're Muslim, they go bare feet. Well, when you go bare feet, it's louder than people that wear cushion, shoes, because shoes cushion that. So bare feet is much louder. And then they have a kid that runs and jumps, and that's just a fact, and that is disrespectful. But they don't want to take the kid to the play. We have a really nice playground here, but I'm just grateful. It drives Danny crazy. I watch her. It breaks my heart. This dog, I think, has been miserable for a year, and I've been miserable right along with her. I've changed my whole schedule because I try to go to sleep in the morning now, because by 2-3 o'clock they've woken me up anyway. So
it's funny. I could be in bed and I can say, oh, it must be 11 o'clock because the neighbors, that's when they start making noise, 11 at night. And they have 2 teenage daughters and a new baby. And
okay. Yeah.
So it's like 11 at night. I feel like they're on a rowing machine or something. That's the noise that I hear.
Oh my goodness.
I have to turn up the TV a little louder. I just try to tune it out, but it's so bothersome. But I thought, I could knock on the door and say something, but maybe they'll take it the wrong way. And I know I'm leaving anyway. So I'm like, whatever, it's not going to be my problem anymore. I can deal for another month or so, and that's what I do. But it is very annoying. And I have a little dog little dogs seem to be very yippy yappy, any little noise. And, I find that she hears something up there, she jumps up and she thinks it's in our house. And it's just so bothersome, but
it is. It's crazy. And yeah, Milo doesn't hear it as much because he's an older guy and he's kind of losing his hearing. But Danny, I mean, she's on Prozac. I'm hoping that, I just want this move. I can get a fence again. So I'm praying that, Milo gets one more fence out of me. This will be the 4th fence I bought this kid. But and because I want them to enjoy outside. Danny seems like she's like Hero used to just love to lay outside. Now Danny can't lay outside for any real length of time when the sun is out because she's a white dog and she will get sunburnt, so I have to watch. But at least she's able to do that because we were going to have a smaller home, but she's just right now basically living under a bed, so I don't like that, obviously. But and when I come home, she's happy and she's, playing and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. But it's hard. Listen, all of these things are challenging. I think that all of this stuff could be challenging, and life is just hard, and it's just how do we make it, so that Hey, Haiti Joyless, how are you? Um, it's just how do we make it in this world, really? You know what I'm saying? Is
Yeah,
just to
it's a
know that
struggle
the scenery
daily.
is always going to change. The scenery is always going to change, right?
Right. And what I say is, for the average person, we're struggling, but someone who's also struggling with, addiction, those struggles are times 10,
Exactly. It's just
and
another thing piled on.
right. And that could be a trigger, oh my gosh, I don't have money for rent next month. And, or I can't make my car payment, or I can't, and that can trigger someone, to make a
It
bad,
makes somebody feel weak and less than, and
yeah.
they could be working really hard at their job. I
Yeah.
don't think that anybody should have to work two jobs to live comfortably. You
No,
know what I'm saying? As long
no.
as you work really hard and you work 40 hours a week, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to take care of yourself. But everybody is one. First of all, that's not the way it is. And without YouTube, it would be really hard for me this past year, to be honest with you, because and I get paid a decent salary. I mean, I get paid a decent amount of money, but I have a
Mhm.
car payment and rent and insurance, and my dog has insurance.
Yeah.
And then there's the dog food and the medicine that they take every month, the heartworm alone, you know how much that is, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. And then if somebody got sick or broke a leg,
Oh, forget
I'm very grateful because I have a wonderful place that I work in. If something like that were to happen to me, I feel like I have a job and there's no issue and such like that. But there are so many places that are unable to do that. I mean, thankfully, where I work, they're able to offer things that a lot of places aren't able to offer. And to things that you wouldn't even at some point, when I tell people finally, they'll understand. But there's so much more that I could benefit from, that a lot of people couldn't.
right.
Like I literally, if something happened in my house, they'd put me in a place. But it's not just me; they would put any of the employees in a place.
That's
That
nice.
so I mean, not a lot of people get that, right? So
No.
if somebody broke their leg or somebody got, God forbid, into a car accident, or somebody just had a bill come up about their car, maybe the brakes, maybe their engine, maybe even a battery. Maybe somebody's just living paycheck to paycheck, and $120 battery is something that wasn't in their budget,
Right.
and that's hard. And somehow we've lost sight in the bottom line of this country has become the dollar, not people.
Hmm.
It's not civilization. It's not human beings. It's the dollar amount. So it doesn't matter that somebody, because when it rains, it pours. Where'd that come from? Right? When something happens, usually, unfortunately, something else happens. They say things happen in threes sometimes, right? So, and and then what do you do? Like, seriously, what do you do? You suffered two tragedies that cost money. It costs money to bury people. You know what I'm saying? To go through that. So you're living paycheck to paycheck, and then you have a tragedy like that.
For my own experience, when Corey passed away, it was 2 months after I was injured at my job. I was home, not even getting disability yet, no paycheck, no workers' comp had started. So when this happened to Corey, we were just, you know, I hadn't worked because I got injured at work, and so we didn't know what we were going to do, and the only person that could have afforded to give Corey a funeral didn't offer. So Brianna started a GoFundMe, and I'm embarrassed almost to say that, but Corey deserved to have a proper funeral. So we did that. And then, you know, Gino passed just after that. And again, I'm still waiting for workers' comp, disability, you know, when you're injured. So I'm living with no income at this point, and it happens again. And my sister started a GoFundMe so I could have the money to give Gino a proper funeral. And I'm so thankful that people donated, because we wouldn't have been able to do it. I don't know what happens. What do they do with someone when you can't afford, you know? And it's that was a horrible feeling.
I think there's a paupers. I think there's no lie. I think there's like a paupers. But why should it be like that? Like,
I
it
know.
shouldn't. Where are we spending our money that the majority of the country is benefiting from stuff like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 60% of Americans can't afford a $600 emergency.
You're right. That's true. Definitely.
So it's very hard that, you know, and I think that this is spot on topic, because these are real struggles that make people reach for a drink, that make people self-medicate because they don't want to deal with the reality of things.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. This is, you know, we all suffer from something, you know, and we have to survive this world. And first, like I said, someone who already is struggling, and these struggles on top of that struggle, I mean, I can't imagine how tough it must be.
So I think this is from Canada. In my province, if you go to the hospital by ambulance and it's deemed a legitimate emergency, the ambulance charge is nil. However, if you call the service unnecessarily, they charge you a fee. That seems fair.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that too. Groceries are so high, find buying less, doing without. Everything is so high, man. Are you kidding me?
It definitely is.
Dennis, you all right? Okay. Let's see. Amy Evans. I'm trying to see in the. Trying to see if we have any. Yeah, it's so true. From 80 to 120 bucks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Let me hang on. Let me just hold open the door for him. I can't let the dogs out. Dennis, thank you for that. I appreciate you. That's all right. Good stuff. So, if you want that sleeper, yeah, you want that. Okay. All right, now probably shorter thing. You got it. Thank you.
Oh wow! Somebody just said 20 eggs for $22 in Australia.
Wow. What kind of eggs are they? Just chicken eggs?
Wow.
An orange is $2. Where? Where's an orange $2, Amy?
Wow.
In Australia? But kiwi's free. I'm joking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so bad that all of this. Look.
Oh.
So there's some really horrible stuff that, you know, I just don't understand. I just don't. I believe Americans will enjoy a better quality of life in the next few years. We'll see. I won't be here. I'm going to be in Portugal, I think. So, let's see. How would you think it? Okay, I don't know. I mean, that's something that. Public here.
So, Toddie, I just wanted to mention after the show last week, somebody did email me asking, for some assistance, I guess, like how they go about getting the help they need. I don't want to say their name or say too
No,
much.
don't.
You
Yeah,
know,
cool. Right.
their situation is they work, but they're afraid if they need to take time off, they might lose their job. And I get that because you don't know what your company's policy might be. Some companies will offer to help you go into rehab. I know that,
Right.
but
Right.
you don't know that. So you're afraid to tell them. And I offered, the intense outpatient. I mean, I don't have a program, but I said that might be something that you can look into. And
Right.
I recommended starting with your primary care physician if you have one, asking if they know of any programs, or just in, your community, you could just even Google intense outpatient programs near me or something. And that's what I
Right.
recommended. And I said, most insurance companies do pay for that. You're able to keep your job. And,
Right.
so that's what I recommended to this person that reached out, and I hadn't heard back. So I don't know if they're here today or if they're listening, but I'd love to see if they were able to find anything.
And also, um, you could do the virtual calls. I mean, if anybody needed immediate assistance, I think that, you could do a virtual call. And
Yeah.
because whatever you need at the moment is what you need at the moment. I think that there's laws and protection now. I don't know how long they're going to stay, but I thought that, if somebody needed to go to rehab, it's covered now, and they can't fire you for it. I thought that that was protected now. That
I'm not
status.
sure,
So I'm saying somebody should look that up, and they should look that up in their state. And even I would think it would be a state law, but I don't want to overspeak. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Quick MD is a good treatment. Yeah, there you go. And if you're listen, I know that NA or AA, I should say, I think that there's nothing wrong with going to AA even if you have a narcotic problem. And I don't mean to I'm not misspeaking here, because I know that the people that I've worked with when I was a counselor, they got more, even if they were a narcotics user, they got more out of the AA program than the NA program.
I've heard that, and I don't understand the difference, but I have heard that from several people.
Yeah. Well, um, hmm, there's a caste system and everything in there. So I'm serious. I mean, I think it's deemed that alcoholics might be, a better type person than somebody who might be doing crack or something. And I think statistics would even show you that trying to sell drugs in an AA meeting would get frowned upon a lot quicker than an NA meeting.
Mm.
So tell us, Amy, why, please. Amy says she could tell us why.
Oh yeah, I'd love to know.
So check the reduced price meat. Kroger. That's a good deal for that. Waiting on you, Aim. I can say one reason why people. I would like to know the reason. I'm waiting, waiting on the world to change. I'm waiting. Here we go. Is this her? Oh nope, that's for Renelle. Sorry, Renelle, I'm getting in your shit. Sorry about that. So, this weekend you said that you obviously visited with your granddaughter and your daughter,
Right.
and but it was a rainy weekend.
Yeah, we stayed inside. I have a finished basement that has all of the baby's toys, and she has a little roller coaster thing down there that she rides on. She can do whatever she wants down there. It's all about her, and so we all just kind of sit down there with her, and we
Right.
have TV and stuff, and she likes to sing and dance and play with her
And
toys.
you have a roller coaster? You said a roller?
Yeah, it's like this little, it's got a little track and then two little steps and a little cart that she sits in, and you roll down the little track, and she, she gets bored with that after a while. And then we have a ball pit that she goes in, and she always makes me go in with her. And
Right.
I have back issues, so it's a struggle for me to do it, but I definitely do it. I never tell her no, but I find she's mimicking me and holding her back.
Oh my
And so,
goodness.
like, and I said, "Oh, are you making fun of me, Eliana?" And she just laughs, because I find that she does make fun of me. Not in a
That's
mean way,
okay.
but
Right, right. Of course, of
she's
course, of
mimicking me,
course.
but it's so funny. But I get in the ball pit with her, and that's our weekend. It starts on Friday. Bree comes after work with her, and they stay for dinner, and they'll stay, and I get to give her a bath that night and get her ready for bed. And then Bree takes her home for bed, and then the next morning they'll come over again, go home for nap time, come back at 3 o'clock, and we do dinner and the whole thing again until bedtime. She gets her bath, her pajamas at my house. It's
Right.
just our routine for the weekend. I get as much as I can on the weekend because I really don't get to see them during the week because Bree works full time. So by the time the baby gets home from, the mother-in-law's house, because she babysits for them, it's too late to entertain her. It's
Right.
almost time for her to get her dinner, get her bath, and go to bed. So
Right.
weekends are for me, and I love it. I enjoy it thoroughly.
So, and you're not going to be too far when you move, so that'll be continued on.
Right. Yeah. I'm only going to be 5 minutes away, and I'll actually have 2 extra bedrooms. So if they want to stay overnight, even though they're only 10 minutes from me, it's 5 minutes from where I currently live. They don't have to stay, but at least I can, if I want to keep the baby so Brianna and Sean can go do something,
Right.
room for her to stay in, with her own bed and everything. So I'm really excited about that. It's,
So there's the reason, just so you know, I would agree with that. There's a lot of drug glorification in the NA meetings when they're telling their stories. And I agree with that. And so when that happens, people are already struggling with sobriety. When you make something look good and you make somebody miss something, they're waiting for you either in the bathroom or right outside, unfortunately. So I would agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I know when Gino was in rehab, they would take them when they got out of the certain level and they went like the step down into like a sober living house or something. A van from sober living would take them to different meetings because that was a requirement.
right. Uh-huh.
And they would say that the drivers of the van would say that they'd stay out with the van and like basically escort them in and out of the building because drug dealers would be there.
Yep.
And we would have to just hustle them into the van so they didn't communicate with them. That's so sad, isn't it?
It definitely is, but everything, there's a business for everybody. Isn't that sad?
Right. But that the drug dealer was like, oh, there's 10 of them coming off this van. If I get half of them, I did good tonight,
Yeah. Yeah. Without thinking of any, without looking at these people as somebody's children, somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's loved one, somebody's husband, somebody's dad, without looking at them as
Right.
sad.
It's business to them, just like anything else. That's their work, their business.
And the worst bit is if they start with the if it's fentanyl, because you can't come back from that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just there you go. Good for you, Amy. Okay, Edie. She's talking about chicken and ribs. Like, that's not fair.
Now I'm getting hungry.
Right?
I wonder if anybody out there, I'm not going to ask anybody's age or whatever, but excuse me, my allergies are just, this pollen is choking me.
It is. It's bad. It's bad.
Horrible. I can taste it. I'm telling you. But I'm just wondering, anybody out there, do you think that, I know this is a stupid question, is there an age limit when you should say, all right, I've been doing this for, I've been using drugs or drinking heavily my whole life. It has to stop. Is there a time when somebody will look at themselves and say, I don't know, I'm 73 years old. This has to stop. Like, does that happen to people? I just wonder because, with age comes wisdom. And I
Right.
know that to be true. I know things that the way I think now is a lot different than I thought 20 years ago when I was younger, So
Right.
I'm just wondering if anybody here has experienced that and said, you know what, I can't continue this way. And I'm going to do, I'm going to get better. I just wonder if that's happened to anybody here, the reason I'm bringing this up, I was married twice. Nobody knows about the second one. It was very brief, but my first husband's sister.
They know about it now if it was a secret.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't a secret. It was just
Thank you,
nobody
Renelle.
really
You
knew.
too.
Um,
Renelle just saying goodbye. Go
oh,
ahead. I'm
bye,
sorry.
Renelle. I'm glad you were here. But my ex-husband's sister is in her 70s. And, I kind of miss my family because when we got divorced, I guess the whole family divorced me. And I liked my husband's
In-laws.
family. Yeah.
Right.
And so from time to time, I do look them up. I'm curious. What are they up to? They
Right.
never reached out when Corey passed away. They never reached out when Gino passed away. And I thought that was odd because they are his family, but that's how it is. So from time to time, I do look them up. And my husband's sister, I don't think she ever admitted she had a problem with pills, but she does. And I happened to Google her name last night and almost fell out of my bed. Here she is, 73 years old, and just got pulled over for driving under the influence. She caused an accident, bodily harm, or injury to someone.
Wow.
And here's her mugshot. And she looks horrible at 73. I mean, because she's using, these prescription pills and other things maybe too. And I thought, when does someone say, all right, now I've got kids, I've got grandkids, I've got great grandkids. I have
Maybe
to.
it's now. Maybe now after she got pulled over, if she's
No, because
lucky
this
enough
is her
to get
third
home.
one, Toddie. The
Oh my God.
third DUI in since 2022.
Wow.
So
I don't
yeah.
know then. I don't know.
And I thought, is there, for some people, does that happen? Do they think, wow, now I'm a great grandmother, or great, when do I get myself in order? Or I guess at this point, she's been doing this so long, this is her life. Maybe she's okay with it, I guess, but
Right. Wow.
just don't know.
I don't know. Hey, Copper Crown, how you doing? It's been a minute since I've seen you. I hope all is well. Not hitting rock bottom. I don't know. I don't know. So everybody's got their own rock bottom for real, right?
I guess.
That's the truth. No, I was reading in the comments, so I think that's the truth. Well, I think it's pretty clear that I like to I don't drink. They're saying only a prison sentence might stop her. After 3, I think that she might be doing some time.
Yeah, I don't know. This is in Florida, so I don't know the
Florida
laws there.
sucks. There are no laws.
Yeah, I feel like they're very lenient, seriously, with a lot of things.
Yeah,
So
there's no laws there.
I
That
don't
place
know, but
sucks. That place sucks.
yeah, I just was shocked that I just happened to look her up. Like I said, I do this from time to time to see what's going on. And when I saw that, I nearly went out of the bed on the floor. I couldn't believe it.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. But I just, like I said, I was just wondering if anybody here, had an experience where they thought, okay, I'm 50 years old. This has to stop. I'm going to do better,
I don't know. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I don't know. I don't know. I'm starting to fall asleep. I'm not even being funny.
Oh no, because I know you work all night. You got to go
Well,
to
I
bed.
worked last night. I'm usually off on Sundays and Mondays, but I worked like 7 days in a row, and I worked last night. And yeah, I didn't sleep so well the day before. Um, but I'm trying to keep myself awake. So if you see me like wake me up. Yes, I did make a comment earlier about it. I must have missed something here. At 50, I quit mosh pits. That's cute. At 50, they quit mosh pits. You know what that is with the right?
Me and my sister took our kids when they were teenagers to some show, and I got in the mosh pit. And my sister had to drag me out by my hair. She was afraid I was going to get hurt.
Oh my goodness.
So I
Oh my
had,
goodness.
it was my first experience and last, but I
Hey,
just had to
Ron.
be a part of it.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So somebody just said something to you about Hazel.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
my sister. She usually calls me at 10 o'clock every morning on her break. And when I don't answer, she's always looking for me. So,
she said, you know my story, Rebecca, with alcohol.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So I pinned her name. I pinned her comment.
Yeah, my sister, I don't mean to laugh or smile when I talk about her story with alcohol, but she was a fun drinker though. She didn't really get in any trouble just at home. She would get hurt, we would get ready to go out to the bar or something. And, I'd have to watch her like a child because she would just turn around on the bar stool and spin too fast and fall and knock herself out. We would be at the hospital. And
Hazel, that's not good, Hazel.
no,
Hopefully you don't do
she's
that
outgrown
anymore.
it though. Now she got to the age where she said, "I can't do this anymore." So now she's switched
There
to
you go.
Pepsi. She drinks a lot of Pepsi now, and she gave it up. She just thought, "Well, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting too old for this."
Good
So
for her. So there you go.
yeah,
People, I think that, I got, okay, so this is weird, but I don't know if this relates. So I used to be a heavy smoker, a cigarette smoker. And it's always been a dirty, nasty, habit, right? Because it smells and your fingers turn. And I would see old ladies, like that are my age now, smoking, and I always thought, oh, that's such a bad look. Like, I don't want to be an old lady smoking. I don't want to look like that. Like, so it didn't have anything to do with smoking so much. I mean, no, smoking's nasty, and I'm so glad I quit, and I feel 100% better. I really do. But I knew that I didn't want to. I didn't want to look like that. I didn't want to look like an old lady smoking. So
right,
I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's, cigarettes, nicotine, I gave that up. One of the reasons was because I didn't want to look like an old lady smoking and I didn't want to smell like that,
right, right.
So I don't know if that applies, but
No, kind of. Yeah. I was, like I said, I was just wondering, like for my sister, she just told herself, like, after my brother passed away, I think it really hit her, like, I can't continue this way. Like, and that's when she cut out her drinking. She did it by herself. She just kind of one day decided she wasn't going to be that person anymore. And it's funny because her house used to be, all the neighbors would come and congregate in the garage. They would drink, they would smoke their cigarettes and hang out. And
right.
when she stopped drinking, because she no longer drinks, nobody comes around anymore. So, it's
That's
like,
funny.
okay, so Denise is well, her name is Hazel, but we call her Denise. Denise is no longer the fun place to be, so nobody goes there anymore. It's so funny how things
That
happen.
was an episode. I think that was an episode. Wasn't that like an episode on one of the shows where they stopped hanging out with the guy because he stopped drinking? He wasn't fun. It was a Friends episode.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't
Remember?
remember that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It wasn't the character. It was one of the boyfriends. It was Monica's boyfriend who they used to call him Fun Somebody, and he stopped drinking. He was no longer fun. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. So
But that's the truth, though. When you stop doing what everybody else does, then you're no longer fun. They don't want to be around. And that's what happened. Nobody goes and hangs out there. Their party's not at her house anymore. You know, she drinks her Pepsi and she's ready for bed, you know?
Yeah, but now she has fun in a different way.
Right. You can still have fun without being under the influence. And she can see that. We still crack up and have our jokes and everything. You don't have to be under the influence to do that, you know?
Right. I'm sorry, I'm reading. So here's a story.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Yep.
So am I reading this, Jenny, correctly, that you were on life support at one point, or am I reading that right, Toddie?
It seems like her daughter saved her life, and her daughter's no longer with us, and now she lives for her daughter, basically, because that's what it looked like to me. That's how the way I read it. So she stopped doing it because her daughter, saved her life. She was on life support. So
wow, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter, Jenny. No matter how a child passes, it's difficult,
yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Just, I think some things are, I always use Corey for, an example. Had Corey been very sick and we knew he was, his life would end at some point, we would have been better prepared. It still would have been hell, but you are prepared, or had he, God forbid, gotten hit by a car, you can almost take that a little better than how Corey passed, but it's still, no matter how you lose a child, it's still hell. It's hell. It's just, it's not easy.
Wow. So Tricky Vicky says that Jen's incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. It's tough.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just a little alien. It's nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. I'm sorry about your dad. Yeah, dementia is a hard thing, though. Some people get it. My friend Sylvia got it. Had nothing to do with alcohol.
Right.
Okay, so we talked about that at the beginning about how they're going to stop funding that, and people aren't going to do well with that.
Yeah, I know here in New Jersey, I don't know if it's certain insurances or something, but if someone is prescribed opioids, narcotics, of whatever,
right,
they also get a prescription for Narcan with their medication. When they go fill those medications at the pharmacy, a prescription for Narcan is also given to them.
Wow, really? I never heard of that. That's
cool. This is I don't know if it's every insurance company that allows that. I don't know, but several people I know get it with their prescriptions, because I know a lot of people that are on pain management. They go to pain management, and of course you're given the narcotics there. So they also get the Narcan as when they pick up their supply. So, and I wonder if that's going to stop. That's why I was wondering if anybody had any idea what was going on with that, because that's,
Well, it's definitely trying to be considered. He wants to stop it. So I don't know if he could do it on his own.
Yeah. I just wonder if he's thinking, the effect of that. I hope someone sits him down and says, this is, I'm hopeful that, because then we're going to have a lot of other issues if that's not available. And I mean,
Narcan,
available
Ricky Vicky, Narcan is going to bring you back to life after you've OD'd.
Right.
It's not a drug, it's an anti-drug. So it's supposed to bring you back from fentanyl too.
I'm finding a lot of people saying it's not as successful with fentanyl overdoses, though, the Narcan. But
I
unless
could
they
believe
changed
that.
it.
I could believe that. That's correct. It's an antidote. Thank you for that. It reverses the opioids. That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. That's correct.
And I always mention on here, I do happen to have some, if there's anybody close by to me that would like a couple just to have, if they have someone that, they think they may need it, I would be willing to part with a few. I'm not a licensed pharmacist or a doctor, but,
Yeah. But here to save lives if you need.
Right. Right. I often wonder, like, 'cause I told you I carry it with me. And if I came upon someone in need of it, I'm almost fearful to touch that person.
Because
But
of a
then
lawsuit?
what if I don't? It's like, it's such a scary thing. I haven't found myself in that position yet, but I wonder, how I would react. And
I hope that you're not found in that situation.
yeah, but it could be anywhere, Toddie. I could be at the mall and it happened.
Absolutely.
I have it. Am I going to use it? Should I use it? It's scary.
I agree. Guys, I'm getting ready to close this out. I just can't keep my eyes open anymore.
I know we got a little off topic, but I still think it was a good show.
Absolutely. And people struggle in life, and before they start self-medicating, their life hurts first, right? That's fair to say. Chances are their life hurts a little bit, and so they start the self-medication. And I think we brought up very common factors that can make people hurt, that can make people try to use, and I think Narcan's very important to talk about.
I do too. I do. And those fentanyl kits, I'm curious to see how you get that, where you get that. This is all new to me. I don't know about those. Must be a new thing that recent. But I'm curious.
So somebody's mentioning something here, so it reminds me of something real quick. So I was in Scotland, and it was in Stirling, Scotland, right off the train there in the bathroom, right there at the train, so I went into the bathroom, and the light in the bathroom was it was like a blue light, and I saw it a few times in the UK. So finally there was somebody around for me to say, what is it? What's up with this blue light? And they said the reason why it's there is because when there's people that are intravenous drug users, that light will keep them from finding a vein that is actually there. Yep, that's exactly what I heard.
I
So I
never
thought that was
heard of
pretty
that.
clever. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty clever. And I only brought it up because of somebody had a comment, and it made me think about that. It just made me think about that. But I remember that, and I thought,
I've
and
never heard of that.
at that point, I was an active drugs counselor. I was, and I just had taken a holiday, and I was writing some scripts and stuff for the UK. Nothing that sold, but I mean, I did have some things that I did get paid for working on. It didn't get picked up. So I was going to the UK kind of fairly often. I really wanted to get a writing job there and go. I really wanted to go there. And I remember, because there was just a few of the bathrooms that I was like, what is it with these lights? Like, I just didn't understand. And somebody told me. And I was like, wow, that's a brilliant idea. Like, that's a really brilliant idea.
I never heard of that. That is something. Wow. I never. That's new.
Yep.
Learn something new every day, right?
Yeah, and this wasn't new. I mean, this probably was 10, 12. No, it's got to be longer than that. This probably was 15 years ago.
Wow.
Mhm.
I never heard of
There you
that.
go. My friend has a lot of friends in recovery, and she has had blue light and has blue bathroom lights.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow.
yeah.
Huh.
So,
That's strange. I never heard of that. I just,
anyway, I promise I'm off next Sunday because I just have to be. I have to have 2 days off. So
I
I
still
will
think we
be.
had a good show. It doesn't
I
matter.
think so too, and I think so too, and I
And
think
you
there
know,
are things that we learned and
sometimes,
stuff.
sorry, I don't mean to talk over you.
No, we're good.
When I put the link on Justice for Corey, so some of those members, because I talk to people on Justice for Corey more than my own Facebook, so I could put it on my Facebook and nobody knows I'm alive on my Facebook. The only way people know me now is Justice for Corey. So when I post the link, sometimes I say we're going to be speaking about addiction and other topics because we kind of veer off sometimes. So I let people know it might not just be that, but I think today's topic, it kind of still was about addiction triggers, things that happen in normal life that could trigger someone. So,
well, it's also about people that are struggling, and people are struggling financially.
Yes.
People are struggling and worried about things.
Exactly.
So that's valid, and it's our show.
Right.
And people, if it doesn't mix with people, they can say, okay, this week's show is not for me.
And they can go, they can
right
off and
right. But I definitely think, it's about struggling too, and this is very valid. So I don't have any problem. I think it's a good show. I just wish I was awake for it.
No, you were here, you were present, you did great. You always do great. I never have anything negative to say about you, Toddie. I'm your number one.
I don't have anything negative to say about you, Rebecca. And I think we're making a difference here.
I think so too. I mean, I think so. And again, I just want to mention I'm available if anybody wants to talk. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, not a licensed anything for that matter, but I'm just someone with life experience. So if anybody ever wants to reach out, my email, RebeccaMitchell03@gmail. You can look me up on Facebook. I'm here.
So I just want to go ahead and put. Oops.
Thank you.
That's Rebecca's email. We're going to leave that one up there.
And if anybody reaches out, I don't.
They have fentanyl kits to test for the drug before taking. And then the other one is the naloxone, which is that's the name of the drug. The brand is Narcan.
Right.
So and that's for after. So somebody was asking a question about the difference between.
Right.
So
okay. Again, if anybody needs me, reach out. I don't give your information to anybody. I might share the story that, your struggle, but I never name anybody or location or anything. So, if anybody needs anything just to talk, I can look up phone numbers for you. I'll even call for you. I don't know how far I'll get, with HIPAA and all that, but I'm here if I can do anything.
Just remember something, guys. Don't let it's nice to have somebody to help you, but don't let anybody work on your sobriety. You have to be a little uncomfortable too. So don't just throw that on somebody. Let somebody help you, but then you got to do the work.
You have to do the work. Someone can help guide you and get you the resources, but it's up to you to do the work.
Absolutely.
We can only do so much. We're here. We don't judge, but it's up to you to do it.
Absolutely. And anybody that would like to join in the chat, on the panel, it's an open panel. Anybody that would like to join on the panel that has a story to tell, please reach out to me or Rebecca, You can reach out to me at toddie1skip@gmail.com. My Gmail address is in the description, but it's very simple, toddie1skip@gmail.com. And if you tell me that you want to join the chat or the panel, and if you tell Rebecca, then I will make sure that I send you the link that will allow you to come on to the panel next week. So, and we do this at 9 o'clock in the morning on Mondays. And okay, that's great. Okay, great. It's time for me. I gotta go because they're mowing.
Okay.
And this is
All
gonna
right, Toddie.
So-
Have a
so
good week.
Reach out to me, this person right here, or reach out to Rebecca. So at toddie1skip@gmail.com or Rebecca Mitchell03@gmail.com. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rebecca, as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and I'll be
No,
watching.
it's our
you.
show. Stop thanking me for having you. It's our show.
Listen,
only
it's
works when
your
it's our
show.
show.
You allow me
No,
to
it's
be
not.
here.
It's Lisa. It's Toddie One Skip and Rebecca's show. It's not. It's not.
I feel like I have to have a.
It's not. Listen,
Oh, you got to go. All right. Have a
bye,
good
guys.
day.
I'll see you later. Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, bye, guys. Guys, what are you doing?